And now I will show you a quick demo on the GitHub on how you can create a repository here. I'll not take, so you should have an account on the GitHub. Okay, let me do it on a different browser. So here you see you have, I'm logged into my GitHub account, and at the top here you go on the plus and you will see an option for repository. So you can create a repository here, give a name here. You can choose if you want to keep a public or a private, and then you can add your files from here. So you can create these repositories. We are short of time, so I'm not going to spend time here, but you can quickly add some of them. And then important aspect would be when you're creating this, it will ask you to provide a URL. So maybe I'll show you this. If I go to a repository, one of my existing repository, on the right hand side, it will give me this URL. So ensure that the application that you want to publish or show your project evaluators, they have the right link where they can click and run the application from here. So that's about your GitHub repositories. So with that, I will move to the next team, the Imagine Cup winners team, who will walk you through their very, very exciting journey on their innovations. Yeah, so I would invite Rishika to please start.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Hey everyone, we are Team Detected, this year's Imagine Cup India champion and world finalists. So before that, we were just engineering students with a passion for technology and a strong desire to develop solutions that would have even the smallest positive impact in the society. But the best ideas strike in the most unexpected places. And the idea for our defect detection platform struck me when I was interning at a forensic investigation firm. So during my time there, I came across a few projects and soon realized the threat manipulated media posed to people and how criminals were leveraging it for their own benefits. Our team did some research about this problem on the internet, and soon we came across something new, which was deepfake. So using artificial intelligence to manipulate videos which had even dire consequences. So this was the moment when we knew that we wanted to work on something to solve this issue. And after a bit more research, we found out that while there were deepfake detection platforms at the global level, we had none in India. So even the ones that existed were available only to specific institutions and not to the general public. So now I guess I'll let Yash to go further with the solution part.
Yeah, so am I audible?
Yes, Yash.
Yeah. So through our research, we knew that we had to develop an AI model for detecting deepfakes, but unfortunately, we didn't have the data. So we searched online, and fortunately, we found a challenge hosted on the website Kaggle that had a similar competition theme. We used this data that was freely available to anyone. After this, there was no going back. We then focused on refining our problem statement. We had to do something that was within our capabilities in terms of our skills, time and resources. So we narrowed the problem down until we were confident about completing the project and still having a significant positive impact. So once we defined our problem statement, we started identifying the Azure services that would help us develop and deploy our solution. Even though we did not have prior knowledge about all the services we used, we learned a lot of new things from YouTube, blogs, and especially the official Azure documentation. So when we were developing the solution, we had a lot of situations when the bugs were just unsolvable and we thought we had hit a dead end, but we didn't let that dissuade us and give up on the project. Eventually, we deployed the project just on time, 2 hours before Imagine Cup's hard submission deadline, and ultimately won the Indian Championship. Now, I'd like Atharva Khedkar to elaborate further, please.
Yeah. Next slide, please. So basically, based on our story, these are some key takeaways that I want you guys to know. Next slide. Okay, so basically what we did was some key points for you are to identify your solution. So to identify, you just have to keep one thing in mind, that idea could be anywhere and you just have to look around. Okay, so identify the problems near you. They could be from smallest to biggest. So we found that deepfakes are upcoming problem and we had to do something about it, right? Then after identification, what you have to do is you have to validate your idea. And validating means you just have to break down the problems and see what already has been done. You can find like research papers, existing solutions, find the pain points. Further, we'll discuss on this, that how to do each step. So followed by validation, you have to refine. And what do you mean by refine is, like, for example, world hunger. So it's a really big problem, but what part could you play in it? Okay, so similarly, any type of media could be manipulated to spread misinformation, but what can we do? So we as a team, what part could we play in? So we selected images and videos and created a platform to detect these deepfakes. So similarly, identify how can you solve and how can you help to solve a particular problem you have selected. So for example, how could you solve world hunger? What part could you play in? Okay, so after refining, what you can do is you materialize. So break down the solution you plan, okay, and select the Azure technologies you are going to use or may need to use. So we knew that we had to build an easy to use platform, and we knew that we had to select some services. So for example, we selected Azure App Services and Machine Learning Studio, Active Directory, and of course Azure Bot Services to assist our users. So similarly, try to figure out what could come in handy to build your solution. And now, as you have a general idea of this, after building, what you have to do is you have to just start learning. So start learning, explore around these technologies, how you can help, like how you can use them and how they can help to build your solution. So just build your solution, get a prototype ready. And then once you have developed it, you don't have to stop there. Okay, you have to just constantly improve it. So make sure that you constantly improve your solution. It could be adding some new, let's say some new technologies, or it could be even to just clean off some bugs. Okay, so continuous integration and development, it's necessary. And this is the final stage and how to do these things. So I think you have a basic idea of what steps are required, but how to achieve this. So I guess, Peshkar, would you like to discuss on this? Peshkar, I guess you are on mute.
Hello. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. The identify part one. Now that Atharva Khedkar has already given you a sort of map that you can follow to get to your final project, that is pretty impressive for your internship and also does have a positive impact in the society. There are some parts in this map, like identifying the idea or validating it or even materializing it, that that can be pain points for us developers as students, right? So I'm going to give you an idea about how do you go about identifying a good problem statement and then validating it and then ultimately materializing it. So to identify a problem, first of all, you have to look around yourself or even into your personal experiences or daily life. If you're able to find a good enough problem there, the one that you are facing, and of course you won't be the only person who is facing that problem, right? So you can identify a problem from your surroundings or your daily life. But if you are unable to find a problem there, in that case you should, as students, we should follow multiple technical newsletters, magazines, social media accounts of research laboratories, technology companies, because these are and technical newsletters from organizations like India AI or national technology bodies, right? Because these are the bodies that constantly keep on posting about the technological landscape, the new challenges and the solutions, right? So these are the sources where you could get an idea. Also, if you are not able to figure out something from these platforms, you could straight away go to platforms like Kaggle or Machine Hack, right? And these are the platforms wherein organizations or technology companies, they post challenges that they are facing with data sets. And so this can help you get a really good idea about what are the challenges that top companies or even other bodies are facing, and you can build your solution around that. Now, to validate that idea, in when you identify a problem through your personal experiences, technical newsletters and stuff, you can simply validate through internet searches, right? Because you'll find multiple news articles or blogs on those topics. In other cases, you could go through research papers on Google Scholar, or simply you can, conduct polls or post questions on social media to let other users answer your questions or take the polls. That can again help you validate your idea in that case. So reaching out to people is a very important part to validating your idea. In our case, as Rishita told you, that when she was interning at the forensic investigation firm, she identified the problem from there and validated it there itself. Right. Now, refinement is again a team task or an individual task, depending. You need to just sit down with a pen and paper or some tools, and you need to refine your problem so that you are able to achieve that with your current capabilities. In order to materialize, as Khedkar told, you have to divide your solution into multiple subparts and then try developing those individual components and then integrate them, right? So this requires a lot of learning, because when you're trying to build something new, there are going to be situations where you don't understand the new technology or you have just come to know that technology, right? So even though the EY, NASCOM, and Microsoft team has given you a thorough background on various Azure technologies, there still might be situations where you need to try something new. So in those cases, you should reach out to sources like YouTube or even the popular platform Coursera that would provide you courses on those things. But again, the best resources are Microsoft's learning paths. So they actually give you a idea from beginner to intermediate to advanced level courses on multiple Azure services or the official documentation or even blogs posted by other people. So you can easily learn new technologies from these resources and then materialize your solution, right? After that, it's all up to you to develop, deploy, and then improve your solution. Thank you. Let's take some questions from students.
Um, okay, so do we have any questions? Moderators, are there any questions that you want Athar to answer?
Yes, Alok. So basically, there is a common questions we are getting from most of the students about the project synopsis. What project they should choose. So from
Yeah.
your experience, students, so what do you think?
Vaibhav, right now, any specific question for Athar?
No, no.
Okay, all right.
Just
So,
wanted to know about the experience of about their journey about these projects. I mean, their progresses.
right.
If they can
So,
share the same with the
you
team.
would want to cover that?
Yeah, I mean, we've already shared the journey where we developed the projects. So again, as we said that we did identify the problem as misinformation, which was quite large and beyond our capabilities. But I think the main thing that students need to remember is that they can still have a positive impact even if they refine their problem statement to solve a very specific pain point, right? And that also simplifies things for you because we see that you're either a group of 4 or 5 people or individual contributors. So you should really focus on solving a particular pain point and not, tackling a very large issue at once. Also, learning new things is a very important thing because, and also first focusing on the problem and not on the technologies is what students need to learn, right? Because we did fall for this step earlier during the detected platform development where we were first trying to identify the technologies and then build a solution around that. So I think this is a major pitfall that we all as students need to allow because focusing on the problem is the main thing. And once you're focused on the problem, refined it, distributed into several components that can be independently developed, at this point of time you should start thinking about structuring your project using various Azure services and all those things. So keep in mind that focusing on the problem is the main part and focusing on the technology comes after that. And
Can
I'm sure
Arthur,
that
can you also share your experience on the challenges which you have faced during your journey? What challenges occurred during your this onboarding or on all your project journey? So will you be able to
right.
share that also?
Yeah.
What challenges were there?
So yeah. So the two major places where we faced our challenges were during the validation stage and during the development stage. So first of all, to validate our ideas, we didn't know where to reach out. So we went through a lot of resources on the web, talked to our mentors, and at this point of time, we tried to identify the people who would be affected by our solution in a positive manner, right? So we started reaching out to forensic investigators, and at this point of time, even we went to the cyber police station, the cyber command of the police, and then we tried talking to those people there. And we did receive a lot of suggestions and points that we could include in our solution later on. So always try to interact with people who are going to be positively affected by your solutions because then at this they can give you important pointers about what functionality that they require in your solution. And then during development, don't let the bugs dissuade you from developing your solution. Because if you search enough on the internet through various blogs, resources, you come across solutions to your bugs. So I think that would be a major part because when we were developing a solution, we came across a very peculiar bug that existed in TensorFlow and we struggled with it for about 2 weeks or so. But ultimately we did figure out. So I think you shouldn't let that take you down. You should
Thanks,
try
thanks,
working
Arthur.
towards developing your project anyhow.
Thanks, Arthur, for your opinion. Over to you, Alok.
All right. Thanks, Atal. So let's move to the project timelines now. And many of you would have attended the earlier orientation sessions. You would have seen some of these dates. So these are the most recent dates that you will see here. And of course, these are your current timelines. There can be changes to these, but as of now, we are here. So we are doing the project mentoring session. Your project submission would have started by now. Would start on 19th November. Project evaluation would be starting on 10th of December. And your internship results are expected to be announced on the 28th of December. And this is for the batch 1. Similarly, for batch 2, there are multiple stages that we have already completed. There are ongoing stages. So project synopsis stage started on 11th of November, goes till 28th of November. Project submission starts on 18th of December. Your mentoring session is targeted on 8th of December, project evaluation stage, and then your internship results are expected on the 21st of January. So with that, I will move to the Q&A section. I'm very well aware that we are already at past 6 p.m. So we will quickly cover some of these aspects in terms of a few of the queries that have been asked. So many of you have asked about the differences between the load balancer, the traffic manager, and the application gateways. While some of these provide you similar capabilities, as I said, these would be responsible for providing some of these services would provide you very specific capabilities. For example, the traffic manager is a layer 7 device which provides you ability to not only route your traffic across the geographies, across the different geos, but also has the capability to identify specific roads. Like if I'm running a web service and my web service, before I route a request to a server, I should know if the web service is running right now or not. Because only identifying that a virtual machine is running is not good enough. So instead of relying on a layer 3 device, I can rely on a layer 7 device. Similarly, you have questions around the application gateway and the front door. Now, these are services which provide you efficient routing for the application request. Now, front door is an optimized service which routes your request across the geographies. It has a specific focus on providing you secure access as well. So whenever security is an important factor, you should look at the front door as a service. Next, the question is on the NSG versus the ASG. So your network security groups versus the application security groups. These are two different ways to group your different resources. When I want to segregate some of the resources which will be available to specific users, like I want to provide one application to HR team within my organization, another application to say my admin team, another application to my maybe IT department. Then I can group these applications by departments, etc., and then place them in a specific application group. While if I want geographical distribution, say I want different applications for India, different applications for US, different for Europe, etc., then I can better segregate them on networks, etc. Now, there can always be a choice between these. Another aspect could be I want to segregate them in terms of web applications, databases. So there can be different tiers of the application, and I can create different network segments for these tiers. Well, next is VPN. P2S is your point to site, site to site, and express route. So broadly, if you look at these two, the peer-to-peer and the point-to-site and site-to-site connectivities are built on a public internet. So you will create a tunnel on the public internet, and then you will utilize the services on that tunnel, which provides you a dedicated connectivity. But Express Route is a network which is provided by Microsoft Azure, and this is a low latency, low redundancy, high redundancy, high availability network, and of course high speed network, which provides you a dedicated connectivity between your on-premises and the Azure cloud instance. So at no point you will use a public internet while using the express route. Availability zones are data centers within a few miles, which will multiple data centers which are spread across few miles, while regions are data centers which are spread across multiple geographies. So maybe when I want to go from one region to another, if my primary region is India or say Asia, I can have secondary region in Europe, Australia, Africa, whichever is closest to me or wherever I want to cater to my customers. The advantages of Azure Resource Manager, well, I may have hundreds or thousands of resources that I create. Would I want to create policies and manage them individually? Definitely not. So Azure Resource Manager gives me the possibility to create resource groups where I can club similar resources which are associated to an application, and then Resource Manager will take the responsibility of managing those resources in terms of the groups, etc. And whenever I want a resource to be created or managed, again, the Azure Resource Manager will take the responsibility of managing those. And last, your compute instances, I will quickly show you. These are some of the VM categories that are available to you. So you do not select vCPUs or memory or NIC cards independently. You will, instead of that, you will go and select one particular offer which is given to you, and it will be a combination of many different aspects. So there are entry level, bustable, general purpose, etc. There are many virtual machine categories which are available to you, and some of these categories are also identified with the different series. So you have A series, B series, D series, and each of these will represent a particular type of compute. So somebody who wants to run a pilot or a say POC or a pilot kind of environment, they can start with the entry level resources. But you may want large memory, you may want large storage, or you may want mainframe type infrastructure. So at that time, you will use H series machines. And these can go up to 128 vCPUs. So starting from 1 vCPU to 128 vCPUs, starting from 4 gigs of RAM to 4 terabytes of RAM. So there are all of these different type of machines or series of machines which are available to you. And with that, I would open the forum. Mentors can point out to some of the questions. If there are any, I can answer those. And then beyond that, we can close the session. So mentors, do we have any questions that you would want me to answer?
No, Alok. No, at the moment.
There's one question from the Imagine Cup team. So Athar or Yash, maybe if you want to pick up this question. The student asked that, weren't you lost looking at a lot of Azure services? How did you shortlist that? What are the Azure services that you're going to use in your project?
Right. So I guess I'll take this question. So What I said was what you have to do is don't go for the solutions first, because if you see this cloud service Azure, there are lots and lots of solutions that you can use, right? So there is a thing called as learning hell. You will be just stuck in it. And trust me, I've been there. So what you start with is you just find out what problem you are facing and then what solution you could offer. And once you have done this, then you look for key in your solution, what are the possible things that you're going to require. So basically then you search around. So we knew that we had to develop a website. So for website, you have to deploy it somewhere. So that's when we came across Azure App Services and we then explored further on it. So I think you have to proceed in this way. So to just minimize what you are going to require, and then you build up around those and like see that what services you could like you could use and furthermore. I guess this answers the query.
Sure. Gunjan, are there more questions that you want to take, or are we good to close the session now?
I think I'll just take one more question, which I saw. Just give me one.
Okay. And is that question to Athar?
Yeah, I think teams had more questions with them because I think they can relate to what they have been through.
Yeah.
1 minute. Okay, no, Alok, this question is for you, which says, when will we get to know the results of the project synopsis, whether it is accepted or not?
Okay. So I will go back to this slide here. Right. Okay. So now, so these would be very shortly available to you before the project submission starts. So we will provide you this information. Gunjan, correct me if this is correct. We will provide them this before the opening of the project submission, right?
Correct. So, Alok, this is available. So, students, this is currently available under project tab. So, when you go onto your project tab, there's a link which says this to the project evaluation guidelines. When you click on that, you would be able to see all the details in terms of what Alok has shared, in terms of lot of questions that I saw, and even all these dates you'll be able to see. So project submission, project synopsis is a auto promotion. Once you submit all your details and you submit, if all your details are correct, you'll be automatically promoted to the next stage, which is your final project submission. Right? And dates as currently what Alok is displaying onto the side for batch 1 and batch 2. These are the dates. If you're not able to submit your project synopsis within this date, then in that case, you would not be able to move to the next stage. So you have to submit your project within the dates that are being given. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Gunjan.
Right.
So,
There's one last question. Alok, I'll just read out this question and I'll take it on behalf of everyone. So the question says, can you tell me the complete name of the competition in which Rishita ma'am and his team participated and they won? And also possible if you can share the contact details of them. So, okay, the second part of the question, Arslan will not be able to share the contact details. However, you can go and check and you can find them on LinkedIn. Onto the first part of the question, what is the name of the competition? The name of the competition was Imagine Cup. This is another flagship event of Microsoft. You can participate into that. And the good news for all future ready talent registrants is that if your project gets selected from here, you'll get a direct entry into Imagine Cup quarterfinals, right? So you don't have to go through the entire drill of going through initial rounds. You'd get a direct entry to Imagine Cup, and you could also become like Rishita, Athar, and Yash, presenting to maybe next future ready talent batch, right? So put all your effort together, read through all the self-learned modules, whatever issues you are getting in terms of your progress not getting updated, or if there are any issues, either post it on the support ID that you have, or either you can put it on the discussion forum. The entire team is there to help you, and we'll be able to we'll be there to support you so that you could sail through this entire thing successfully and create successful projects and get your internship certificate. So thanks, Alok. That's from my side. One last question which I wanted to pick up.
All right. So thanks, everyone. With that, we will close the session. And I'm hoping many of you would be completing your projects. You will be submitting your projects. And we will come back with the evaluations once you're done with this. All right. So thanks a lot. With this, we will close this session now.